Good Erev Shabbos, everyone. This week's portion is that of Nitzavim. And Nitzavim always occurs right by Rosh Hashanah. As this year, it's the Shabbos that precedes Rosh Hashanah. Towards the end of the Parsha, Moshe Rabbeinu says to Klal Yisrael, Re'eh, behold, Nasati lefanecha yom esachayim v'yasat tov. I am presenting to you today life and that which is good, v'yas hamoves v'yas hara, or death and that which is evil. In other words, Moshe Rabbeinu is telling us that as human beings, we have bechira, we have free will, and we can make a choice. We can choose that which is good and that which will give us life in the world to come, or we can choose a life in which we follow evil, and the world to come will be desolate. And Moshe continues, that which I command you today, to love the Lord your God, to walk in his path, to observe his mitzvahs, his statutes, his laws, and you will live and you will increase and you will be blessed by the Lord your God in the land that you are about to enter and inherit. But if your hearts turn astray and we do not listen, and then we find ourselves bowing to the gods of others and serving them, I tell you today that we will certainly be lost. We will not have length of days in the land in which we are crossing the Jordan to enter. I call upon the heavens and the earth to be witnesses today that life and death I am placing before you, the blessing and the curse, ubacharta b'chayim, and I urge you, choose life, leman tichya atov zarecha, that you shall live and your children, your offspring shall live, loving the Lord your God, listening to his voice, clinging unto him, for he, God, is our life, he is the length of our days, dwelling in the land, the promised land that he took an oath unto our patriarchs to give to them. This is how the Parsha concludes. Moshe tells us that as human beings, we do have a freedom to choose. We can choose the path that God has presented before us, and Moshe is urging us to select a path of life and blessing. Life and blessing in this world for us, for our descendants, and the world to come. Or we could choose the opposite. And Moshe says, B'charta b'chayim, like a father, Rashi says, urging his children, choose wisely, choose correctly. Commentaries ask, do we need Moshe Rabbeinu to urge us and encourage us that we should choose a proper path? Moshe is saying, here, this is a life of success and happiness and blessing. Here is a life which is filled with evil and curses and cruelty and horrible decisions that can impact us and our children. Make the right choice. I need Moshe Rabbeinu to tell us to make the right choice. What fool is going to say, you know what? I'm going to choose the path of evil. I'm going to go down that path. That looks intriguing. Who are we talking about? Are we talking about people whose minds are corrupt, ill people? Moshe Rabbeinu is talking to Klal Yisrael, clear-thinking individuals. Moshe has to urge us, choose correctly. And as I mentioned before, Parshas Nitzavim always occurs by Rosh Hashanah, either preceding it or following. Nosson Vachtvogel Olav Shalom, the Mashkiach from Lakewood Yeshiva, he says that we find ourselves in this world, in this life, that most normal human beings want to do the right thing. We all want to do the right thing. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, what trouble can I get into today? What evil can I bring upon my fellow man? These are people who are disturbed who think like that. We all want to do the right thing. But let's be honest, we don't always do the right thing. Sometimes we might find ourselves distracted, and maybe our mind is filled with thoughts and images that don't allow us to see clearly and to do what is truly correct. What then? What about those of us? We want to do the right thing, but we're human, we're frail, we have to deal with an evil inclination, we have to deal with a Satan, the Satan, who knows what buttons to push, who knows exactly how to lead us astray. What then when we make these mistakes? Is Moshe Rabbeinu telling us, oh, you made a wrong decision over here, oh, this is not right, look what's in store for you? What can we do? How can we protect ourselves? And not only that, the Parsha of Nitzavim begins in which it tells us, Atem Nitzavim Hayom, you are all standing firmly today. What does Moshe mean with standing firmly? So Rashi tells us from the Midrashim that Klal Yisrael, after hearing the 98 curses that shall befall us that we heard in the Teichach on last week's Parsha of Kisavai, we became distraught. We became faint. How can we possibly withstand this? Moshe says, you see that you are standing here today. Well, what does that mean, we're standing here today? What are you telling us, Moshe? First, you tell us that if we don't do the right thing, that what's in store for us is horrendous. And now you're telling us, don't worry about it. Look, we're here today. What do you mean? The Mashgiach of Lakewood Yeshiva explains, what Moshe Rabbeinu is telling us is, Bocharta b'chayim, choose life. Life is choices. Make the right choice. What does that mean? It means that we should think about our lives. What direction do we want in our lives? Do we want God to be an active player in our lives? Do we wish to embrace his divine word conveyed to us in his Torah, taught to us, explained to us by our sages in the Talmud, codified in the laws found in the Shulchan Aruch, the code of Jewish law? Do we want to have a life in which Judaism is the dominant force of our existence? Or do we want to live a life and say, I'm not interested, I'm only interested in my pleasures and my passions? Moshe says, make a choice. Make the right choice. Because everything in our life is dependent on that choice. Even if we choose to embrace God and his Torah and his mitzvahs, of course we're going to stumble. Of course we're going to fall into the trap of the evil inclination. We're human. We're not angels. The Satan is an angel of God. Of course we're going to make mistakes. But don't be concerned, because if we make the initial proper choice, then even when we stumble, God says, life and blessing awaits you. All we have to do is recognize, I was weak. I fell. I should have been better. I should have been stronger. God Almighty, help me. I regret what I've done. I admit what I've done was not what I'm capable of. And I ask for your assistance, and I ask for your forgiveness. That Moshe Rabbeinu is telling us, that's choosing life. Choosing life doesn't mean that we're going to be perfect. What human being is perfect? We're going to make tremendous mistakes. But nevertheless, our initial choice is a correct one. But there are those, unfortunately, that in their lives, there is no Torah. There are no mitzvahs. God doesn't even exist. That's the incorrect choice. And they might be very fine humanitarian individuals. They might give lots of charity, and they might do many kindnesses. But they made a wrong choice. And because of that wrong choice, in which God does not exist to them, they will have to bear the consequences. But if we make the right choice, this is what Moshe is saying. Yes, we heard 98 spine-tingling, horrific, terrifying curses that shall befall us. But that's only when we make the wrong choice. And Moshe says, Atem Nitzavim Hayom, look, we're standing here today. We're all standing upright, firm, and healthy. Why? Because we made the right choice. Does that mean we didn't sin? Does that mean there wasn't a golden calf? We didn't have the incident with the spies? Does it mean we didn't complain that when there wasn't water? We made mistakes. But those are mistakes from those who initially made the proper choice. And Moshe says, make that choice. Don't be afraid of this consequence, that consequence. Make the right choice. Choose life. Choose the blessing. And that's why Parshas Nitzavim is always around Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is a time of new beginnings. We find that the patriarchs, as a medrash, it says all the patriarchs were born on Rosh Hashanah. It was a new life. Yosef was freed from his bondage in Egypt on Rosh Hashanah. We're freed from our bondage. We emerge. The matriarchs were remembered and God allowed them to conceive. Again, there's a new emergence in life that takes place because Rosh Hashanah is a time for choices. Even if we've made wrong choices in the past, that's in the past. Rosh Hashanah, we can push that delete button and erase everything that has happened and make a proper choice. Rosh Hashanah is an opportunity for new choices. And Moshe is telling us, choose life. Choose the blessing. Make the right choice. What is that right choice? God Almighty, my Father, my King, I am your humble servant, and I'm here to embrace your divine word. Help me, because I know that I will be overwhelmed, and I know I will stumble, but know that I don't do it out of animosity or out of rebellion. It's only a reflection of my weakness, and I ask for your divine assistance. That's the right choice. That's what Rosh Hashanah affords us. This is the opportunity. And this is what, God willing, we will embrace. And in merit of this, may we be blessed with a wonderful, happy, healthy year filled with success and only happiness for all of Klal Yisrael. Stay safe. Stay healthy and stay Jewish. Have a wonderful Shabbos.